There's a couple buckets when it comes to these big banks. First, let's start with their trading revenue. Have we seen the worst of FICC, and do we wind up getting better going forward?
I think on the FICC side, good morning, by the way. I think FICC should hopefully start to stabilize a little bit. You know, the question from my perspective is, are we in a cyclical downturn or more of a secular downturn? And we're of the view that FICC is going to remain depressed for some time. We do think that you'll see a pickup in equity activity in 2018. Clearly, the movement on tax, we think, will be good for M&A and capital issuance as well. So we think equities will be better than fixed income.
And then the other part, especially if Steinhoff isn't around anymore, and the other part of the business has to do with credit losses. So provision for credit losses for Citi was up 6.6%. That was more than estimated. And provisions for credit card losses for J.P. Morgan was up 21%. What are we learning? What does that tell you?
Well, it's telling us a couple things. First is that credit card loans are growing. So anytime you see growth in loans, banks have to pay for that in the form of a provision. But at the same time, we're starting to see a little bit of seasoning and normalization, as we would call it, in some of these consumer loan portfolios. But this is nothing really, Alex, to get particularly concerned about from my perspective here.
So, David, as you look for possible growth in the big banks, are we looking at loan growth overall, not just consumer, but also commercial loan growth? Is that going to pick up?
Well, we're of the view it's going to remain relatively muted, actually. The consensus is expecting around 4 to 5% in loan growth in 2018. We're forecasting about 2 to 3% loan growth. And if you look back to the most recent large tax cut in 1986, loan growth actually fell from 86 to 87, and loans were up only 40 to 50% of GDP. So, but loan growth from here is really, from our perspective, the key to sustain this rally in regional banks.